Yes, one thing that I really appreciated to keep me going in my practice, it's what we call my dear coach and main author of the book that I'm um, that I've co-write with, Marsh Engel. She talks about sacred agreement, and these are kind of affirmation. You assert firmly intentions. And I've been writing these, creating different sacred agreement every day and reading them, as I wake up. I really centered myself with the intention, and it's always about me. It's never about the world, the other people, which I have no control over, but it sets the stage for my actions, but also for my state of being. It's not just about actions, right? When we have objectives, is I want to do this, I want to do that. But what is my state of being, which is how do I feel? And it helps us to also let go on the outcomes, right? The results, but more, what do I want to experience? And so I would like to share with you one of them. So I will give you examples, on the Facebook page of Soul Touch, which is like, for example, it's always about enhancing, increasing, connecting, developing. It's all these ways that because we're constantly evolving. And so this helps me to stay really um, aligned. And through the years, I've noticed that when I do, for some reason, I feel there's a flow. There's always some kind of insight that comes in. There's some kind of flow towards where I'm heading, what I want. It helps me to really discern and make conscious choice. Is this serves me? Is this more an interruption? Because we could have many types of interruptions. And and when I don't, after a few days, one day it happens, right? But when it's been, and usually when I drop for at least a week or two or three. And I understand sometimes we have, things going on, but every time I did, at one point I've noticed, wow, I'm not in the flow. Nothing is happening now. I feel stuck somehow. And so, regardless if the flow is about actions outside or inward, sometimes I'm called to go inward for a while and I'm, meditating, connecting to my insight, doing some healing, inner work. We always have to do some, right? It's just that when we learn to do this, we realize that we don't want to go back because there's always something to become more conscious about, more, we're constantly evolving, growing, expanding, and it just gets easier the more we do it. It gets easier. It's like get yourself in a hot bath, right? At first, like, ooh, it's really hot. Ooh, don't really want to put my toes in. But if I do, then I get acquainted to the temperature, to, the intensity but also it's less, you feel it because the intensity is way more about your experience than the situation per se, the event, or, because these are neutral. So this is a practice really, really helps me. I'm not a writer. I didn't like to write. I didn't know what to write, but this was one of the practice in writing that I've learned that it's so efficient and helps me to really ground myself in my being and my doing. And it sets the stage and it keeps me, on the loop of, okay, where I'm at, what I want. And I could see that it really happening. It's like, oh yeah, now that I'm noticing that I've put that intention. And one thing about, when reading the intention or writing the intention, it's important to not just be involved at the mental plane. It's important to be involved in the emotional plane, how it makes you feel. What's the state of being? state of mind and the state of, being. What do I think? How do I see things? But also, how do I feel? And that actually set the tone to really attracting, because when we want to manifest, it's not so much what we do, but it's the state that we're in. Do we feel we got this? Are we in trust? And it helps to also bring to the surface any um, beliefs, limiting beliefs that we could have, because sometimes we want to do some things, we want to be in certain ways, and it's not working, but yet we have these underground, I would say, because we're often unconscious about them, beliefs that are opposites or limiting, really are counter working against that, what we are choosing to, because we have everything. We are, in terms of, everything is within us. It's not outside. And so it's about choosing to tune in, to connect to this frequency, this vibration, because every word, every actions, every emotions, everything is energy. Everything has a frequency. And when we align, it's like we know that energy attracts, right? The same type of energy frequency will attract, and the ones that are not will, you know, will pushed away. And so, are we aligned? And that's what it means. Align. It's, are we tune on that channel, just like on TV, right? We know that it's like everything is happening on TV at the same time, but we're not necessarily attuned to it. And so we have to change the channel. And that means our own internal channel. And so that's really helping me with that. So I would like to read you one of them, um, that I lately, that I because every day we're constantly in movement. So there's always something that will come up. And then sometimes I just reread. I take a page, of my past sacred agreements that I wrote a year ago, and sometimes it's like, oh yeah, I kind of let this be aside for a moment. And I think that right now I would need to do that. And sometimes you just go into your intuition and you just pick a page, and then boom, it gets somewhere. It's like, oh yeah, oh yeah, I've been doing this. This is great. So you can monitor your own evolution, your own transformation. And but also sometimes it's a good reminder, because we have so much things that we want to work on. And of course, we cannot put our attention and our focus on everything that we know, everything that we want. And so it's a great tool for me. And hopefully, and so I will share, I did already a few times, but these, sometimes it's wisdom drops that I will drop there on the Facebook page of Soul Touch. And so sometimes it's drops of wisdom, and I will drop also sacred agreements. And so it will be specifically indicate. And I invite you to share yours with me. And writing it, I'm not a big fan of writing, but I end up writing a book, with other amazing women co-authors, and features authors in that amazing Divine Legacy book. And I can assure you that I am not the writing type, and I really feel that we need to find our own niche of, what resonate and what helps us. And writing these sacred agreement, it's ingraining it. It's demonstrated. Writing by hand, not just on a computer, but really writing by hand, is actually more integrating, in the flesh, let's say, in the density of the world we are in. It's not just a mental thing, because the thought is an energy, but it's way more subtle. It's not so much, incarnated in the world. And so, and another topic could be about, right, when we want to be spiritual, we want to connect with our higher selves and to the divine that we are. It's not about either or, also, right? But we'll talk about that another time. In order to really get attuned to incarnate in the world, this soul genius that we are, like Marsh would say. I'm using a lot of her words because they're words of wisdom, and she's one of my mentor who really helped me to stay connected and remind myself or reflect to me what I don't see yet. So we need other people to, and sometimes just a reflection could come from someone else, but it could come from writing, it could come from any source, source will give you what you need through different modalities and mediums. And it's just, we need to be in one of my favorite one that I keep going back to is today and every day. I am receptive and responsive to what wants to be created and expressed through me. You know, I let go, I allow, I participate in the greater flow. So allowing, because as a teacher, as a mentor, as a guide, as a coach, we have it. I have a tendency, and I will talk for myself, but I know that I'm not alone. We have a tendency to um, think that it's us, me, Sandra. I have to know this. I have to do this. It's me doing something. As really, our human shell per se allows us to experience the world with feelings and really grasping an experience which is not tangible at our soul level, but um, to really remember that I'm a vessel, and that takes off so much heaviness on my shoulder that I should know. And I should be, doing this, and I should know, and I should find out all the answers on my own. And, this need of knowing and be more allowing and surrendering to the inner self, which is, the divine is within us. And if we are allowing and recognizing, it's not to diminish ourselves, to think that we are a vessel. To me, it's so much fluid, much more fluid. I flow much better. I'm put less pressure on myself, but I'm more attuned to my real, my true self. We all are a different flavor of the whole, right? It's like, let's say the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, it's like a big oceans of all the different colors, possibilities that could exist, right? And we all a drop of that whole. We're like a drop of that ocean with our own unique flavor and essence, and by connecting with that, we're allowing this piece of the whole to um, uh, how can I say, it's about experiencing the world. It's about um, being conscious, it's about the emancipation, I could say, of the consciousness through all the different pieces of what the consciousness is, which we're all divine, but with a unique piece, a unique flavor of the whole ocean, right? But we're still the ocean, right? We have all the essence, just like a tree, like this piece of paper still carries the seed of the tree, right? It transformed, and it has a certain flavor, a different kind, but yet has the same flavor. So it helps me to really connect. So for me, today and every day, I choose to be receptive, or I increase my being receptive. I um, enhance, or wherever stage you are, or I remember, to be receptive and responsive. That means that I'm going to be receptive to what life has to offer me, that it's sometimes right there in our face and we don't even see it. But it's not just about being receptive. Are you responsive to it? What do you do with it? You just, oh, I saw it and boom, it's gone. Or, oh, wait a minute here. This is an answer. This is a language that I was looking for. This is, So these sacred agreements really help me to stand in my own sacred authority. And that's another one that I became my mojo kind of at the beginning when I was part of the first book as a contributor, one page, that I really shared, and it came out like everything that I do that flows so naturally when I'm aligned, it just comes out effortless. It moves through me effortless with ease. I don't have to force. And believe me, I'm someone who's usually, I've been forcing a lot to do, forcing, 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 but there's nothing to force. And so this thing allows me to stay in my high integrity, to move away from the external validation, which is not negative or not wrong for me. It's just not aligned with my own drops of God that I am, What is what is it that I need to or that I want to, not about needing, is what I want to experiment and to really become conscious of who I am, not just my shadow, but also all the magnificent being that I am, right? And so um, it really helps me to stay attuned, anchored in my soul esteem. We talk a lot about self-esteem, and it's okay. We are in the world, and we need to know, how we contribute in the world. But it's beyond that, right? Who we are, we're more than what we learn, our skills and abilities. We're way beyond that. And so, to be anchored in my soul esteem, aligned with my own essence that resonates with me. And so it comes not from the external world, but it's actually coming from and stepping in my internal, not validation, but confirmation. It makes sense. It's so strong. We know that that's where we're going. So whenever I feel, I don't know, I go back to that. Okay, be receptive. So I need to go within. So that sacred agreement is following me for many years now, a few years now, and really helps me. And no matter what other sacred agreement that I bring in, this one is kind of at the core, to really allow myself to dare to step into my courageous self and dare to be beautiful, be beautiful fully. I'm allowing, and it helps me to stay aligned with that. So we could talk about more about this, but I invite you to practice. I invite you to try it and see. Give yourself a chance. It's more than just one day. Write anything, and I will give you some tips on the Facebook page. I'll write sacred agreement, and I will give you examples, of words. It helped me, like I said, enhancing, amplifying, these words. That what really do I want? Do I want to learn this? Do I want to amplify it? Do I want to connect with that? What's the intention? It sets the intention, like I said at the beginning. It could be to enhance something, it could be to develop, but it could also be about owning something. I own my playfulness, I am free. I allow myself, I surrender to, right? But allowing yourself and choosing, right? It's not just about what I do, it's what I choose to be. It's what I allow myself, what I own to be. I invite you to just practice it and let us know if it works for you. Until the next time, pleasure to be your sacred ally in this wonderful journey of embracing all that we are.